Hey everybody, Tracy Brown, your somatic nutrition therapist and attuned eating expert. And sorry about the delay of getting this video out today. It's taking a little longer than usual for Facebook to let me do my thing. So I'm here and I'm really glad to be with you today. If you are watching this on a different platform at some point, whether it's YouTube or my blog post or whatever, thank you so much for being here. And I appreciate any passing along of these videos that you are willing to do, because when we know enough, but we can't get our bodies to do what it is, or our wills to do what it is we need to do to get to a place with freedom that we would like to have with our food and bodies, something else is going on. Which brings me to today's video, which is our threat response system. So I promised to go through our fight, flight, freeze, and please, and attach responses around food here today. So we're going to start with flight. And I want to thank everybody who's here live as well. And those who watch the replay, would love to hear that you were on replay and any questions you might have. So please tag me in the comments below. So let's get started. So the flight response. Now we know, well, I'll put flight and flight together. They're essentially the part of our sympathetic nervous system that helps us get away from threat. And it's interesting, right, that we have overcoupled in our own story, in our own narrative, that eating certain foods or can get us out of fight or flight. And what that's going to look like is that we're eating to settle ourselves, or we could be not eating to numb ourselves and to bypass some of the physiology by like continuously moving and bypassing, ignoring our needs. That's what not eating in the flight response would look like. But what happens in our digestion and in our ingestion when we're in flight and we're using food? And how do those get overcoupled? So let's answer that question first. How does when I am in fight or flight, I'm in fear and I want to get away from the fear, or I'm in fight and I want to get out of the fight. I want to like fight my way out of what feels like it's outside or inside that feels like a threat. We want to recognize that like it could be here and now, fear and fight. So it's not like it's all traumatic memory, but a lot of times we have overcoupled that ingestion or digestion or feeling these sensations are a part of us that's kind of stuck in the past, feeling like that getting our needs met or being in relationship, whether relationship with food, relationship with the people who provided us food, that feels like a threat and it's overcoupled on our food. Or, of course, we can feel like the only way I can get my needs met relationally is to look a certain way. And that could be a here and now issue, or it could be a past issue. So either way, those are different examples of how food and flight or fight get overcoupled. And the work in somatic nutrition therapy is to uncouple the threat from food and body and to couple here and now eating with safety and relationship. And that's just what, we work on. So anyway, so that's the overcoupling part. But what does food feel like inside? What does our behavior look like when we're in fight or flight? So what it can look like for some of us, the physiology of what happens when you eat food when you're in fight or flight is that you don't digest well. It can literally feel like the things aren't moving. And the truth isn't it? Because if you are in this fight or flight response, your adrenaline is from your adrenals are kicking out. You're having norepinephrine happen. And it's basically saying, okay, body, we have to run away from this threat or we have to fight it. And if we also let's say you've eaten some food to try to deal with that, the management of that, what happens is you're not going to digest that well. You might have indigestion, heartburn, feel bloated, feel like the food's not moving, because it's actually not. That norepinephrine and that adrenaline is signaling to your organ systems, hey, we need this blood flow to our arms and legs and to our senses, our eyes, our ears, our smell, everything, to scan and be hypervigilant for a threat, be ready to like mobilize to fight or mobilize to run, whatever. So our digestion, our rest and digest is just not on board. It sounds pretty explanatory maybe from your experience, right? So I'd love to hear in the comments below, when you're super stressed, what do you feel? Do you feel like the food is like a lead ball just sitting there Do you feel like, oh, I have like these urgent needs to go to the bathroom? That things, yeah, I can't digest that. It's like when I'm not stressed, I can eat gluten. When I am stressed, it feels like it makes me break out, or I have, gastrointestinal issues. If you're experiencing that, you're starting to put together the pieces of like, oh, I need to have a landing pad for this digestion here and to separate the experience a bit. Let's say it's the opposite. Oftentimes what happens for people is that they feel this flight response and they're so unsettled and they don't feel like there's a place to land from all this threat that feels like inside, or they can't handle the emotions they're feeling, because it is too much. It is too much for the part of us that got stuck with those emotions in the first place. Our adult self can probably manage and work through with support, but if we don't have that experience, we just think, oh, this is too much for me, and we start to speak to the language of food and body versus it being about what feels like is happening inside is big. And I know you feel everything, but that's not necessarily that it's your body or that it's too much food. What's happening now? And the part of you that's saying that the food is too much is not now time. That's a strategy to deal with the sensation and the inability to like be in the now. That makes sense if you've got an overwhelming, overstressed, too big, too much, too fast background. So what we want to think about with that, if you are labeling your sensations inside as too much, but you look at your food and you look at what's happening with your health, your physiology, your functioning, and it's below what would be expected, it's like, oh, what's feeling too much inside because I need the food, and restricting and constantly moving isn't going to make that go away. You can't numb out sensory motor sensation. Not fully. It's always there. You can distract yourself, and there the hunger is again, there the need is again, and then we're looping. And so lastly, what I often see people do in fight or flight is eat to try to settle it, of course. It's like we want some relief from the too big or the too fast. And that reminder, that's a part of us that's doing that with the food. It's not our here and now self that knows about intuitive eating, that knows that doesn't feel good, that maybe we eat things that aren't in congruence with our appetite, our hunger and fullness, maybe our health goals, but we can't quite reach the other, like the normative eating, when we're in this fight or flight place that's connected with, this is how I deal with fight or flight, is to eat to settle it. And I just want to write this, share this video today to give you an explanation of what's happening. And then later on this week, we're going to talk about overall. So we're going to do fight or flight today, freeze please on Wednesday, and then Friday we're going to talk about like, well, how do I get myself in here now and locate and orient to something safe and benevolent I can be in relationship with to make room for normative eating. So that's our agenda this week. I hope you join us. I hope you pass these videos along to people who need to get a different perspective. We often think if I just learn more cognitive information, I can, heal myself from a lifetime of body dissatisfaction, food issue, and I know everybody that I've ever worked with, it's like, we know what to do. Sometimes we're just getting stuck in the action, and we need to work on like what is happening in our defense strategy system that's thwarting our ability to orient to and reach for appropriate support and action to get the job done, to actually get there. So that's what we're working on this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in Wednesday's video. Bye for now.